Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Best on Wellbeing podcast. My name is Guillaume Tremblay, and this is the introductory episode to give the bit of the background on what this project is and where I come from in terms of why I'm doing this and what I hope people will get from this. So, as the title says, this podcast will be all about asking the question and investigating how do we fundamentally increase well-being and how do we fundamentally decrease suffering. At the end of the day, I think as humans, that's what we all want. And the topics we want to cover is how do we go about doing that in a realistic, practical, applicable way that we can implement into our day-to-day lives where, reality actually happens. So my background, I'm a health professional. I was a nurse from 2007 to 2014, and afterwards I became a nurse practitioner. I've worked as a clinician, prescribing medications, ordering diagnostics, doing all sorts of the primary care stuff that a generalist does. And throughout these last 11 years as a nurse practitioner, I've developed a specialty in mental health and have done other things like develop the mental hygiene framework, and we've published papers on it. But I do have to say, there is a bit of a pride in me that I have seen quite a few different backgrounds in healthcare. In that, in my last about 18 years in the health field, I've practiced in many, many different backgrounds, many different settings, and hospitals and post-surgery, internal medicine, ER, family clinics, family health clinics, home care, palliative care, currently in forensic mental health. So I've been in many different situations in terms of being at the forefront, not at the forefront, but interfacing with humanity in a way where I've seen people suffer, I've seen people get better. I've seen different facets of the human journey through disease and well-being. And so my approach here is to kind of synthesize a little bit of what I've gained, not only through my professional training, but just the sheer experience of being around it a lot. And how can we bring about topics and core principles of what can fundamentally improve well-being and what can fundamentally decrease suffering. Now, well-being and suffering are kind of funny terms, and we'll get into that in subsequent episodes. But suffering, this sort of anxiety that kind of is with us all the time, and this unease, these negative emotions that can kind of drag on in our internal experience. How do we fundamentally bring those down? If we want a world where humans are happier, it takes happy people, it takes happy individuals in order to bring about a society that is thriving more and more and flourishing. Now, that's not to say that I think there's a lot of positive things happening today. And humanity, in my belief, is continuing to go in a direction, even if the news keeps in a good direction, even if the news keeps telling us the bad stuff all the time. And so I'm inviting folks to join along, okay, and listen to a dude like me to see what I have to say about well-being, because I have thought about it a lot. And second from like I said, I've had many different experiences. I've literally had poop thrown at me. I've been in various, different settings, and I'm pretty proud to say I've seen quite a bit in terms of human health, illness, and that kind of facet of reality in society. The other thing I'll share here is that my sort of not personal background, but I guess it's personal, but I would consider myself a spiritual devotee. I guess that's a fancy word, that I'm kind of committed to the spiritual path. Now, what does the spiritual path mean? And I like and dislike. I used to love the word spirituality. I'm spiritual, but it quickly gets pulled and tangled into like other kind of egotistical, like I know that there's things that you don't know, the spirit. But spirituality to me means like sort of a connection with something greater than ourselves. It means having a sense of awe for the wondrous reality that we're part of, the fascination that every body in like every human and all the animals for that matter, but the human body has, 60 trillion cells, and each cell has 100 trillion atoms, and it's all working perfectly well. Like, how did that happen? So being at awe with sort of the mysteries of reality, and where do we come from and things like that. But ultimately, for me, spirituality is simply to be devoted to the path of fundamentally increasing well-being, to be committed to doing all that is within our grasp to elevate our sense of peace and well-being, and to be able to help others do the same. That would be sort of, for now, my definition of well-being. And so that's sort of, I don't want to talk too much about this kind of stuff. So like I said, I've worked as a generalist. I know medications quite well. I know quite a number of, natural tricks and kind of some philosophies on exercise too that we can get into eventually. But we're going to cover various dimensions of well-being. There's a lot of influencers out there that I think some of them are doing a great job. I don't want to be negative about others, but we do have a tendency as humans to kind of look for that nice, clear-cut, cookie-cutter answer. Those are the 5 things you need to do every day, and you will be a happy person or a happier person. Or these are the easy tricks that all of these successful people do that you should be doing. And sometimes there's good advice in there, but we want to take a gentle, holistic approach. Humans are complex. There's the physical dimension and the mental inner experience and the emotional, all those sensations that we feel in our bodies, all those. And how do we approach those various dimensions in order to, again, fundamentally reduce our suffering and fundamentally increase our well-being? And so I will be looking to release 5 to 10 minute episodes on specific, not really so specific, but certain topics on well-being. And I'll be looking to release them about 3 times a week. Hopefully I can stay consistent with that. And I invite people to join along. And ultimately, the goal here is that it is useful to the listeners, that they can actually take it. And it's not just a cute idea in your mind, like, oh, that's kind of cool, like what he said. That no, like I want it to be able to, ideas that can realistically be embodied and used and support higher levels of well-being. Okay, that's what it'll be about. And so we'll be doing, so the next episode will be coming out soon. This is the introductory episode. Welcome, everybody. I hope you'll join along on the Best on Wellbeing podcast. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.